Pokemon has easily been one of the most disappointing franchises that I've been stuck with. I've kept trying to make the series work for me ever since my disinterest in the games Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby, with each subsequent game boring me to tears. And while I didn't necessarily dislike Let's Go, Sword and Shield was a nice step up, and would have actually been a great game if Game Freak gave it enough time to polish out its numerous flaws. But that's just exactly where it leaves me. It could have been great. With absolutely no reason to believe that it would ever change up the pacing of the series, I had no reason to believe that Legends Arceus would be any better. It would probably be another slow game filled with the tempting to hold your hand through a hallway of a game with the illusion of freedom, only for your hopes and dreams to get dashed as soon as you get too close to an NPC that's going to guide you to your next story beat for a good 20 seconds of dialogue. At first I was quite worried that this was going to be the case. Game Freak still hasn't learned his lesson about railroading. In Metal Gear at least, it was interesting whenever you get to a cutscene. It's a reward for following along in the mission, and you get important story beats to keep you engaged. In Pokemon, it's just, well, you get told about something that you either already know or is just some pointless exposition. Something that seems to stick with the game to some degree throughout my current 10-hour playthrough. But what you'll be surprised to know is that I actually love this game to bits. Not just because it broke the formula and did something new, adding full camera control and letting you roam around freely, and having a wild arrow that's massive, giving you tons to do when you're not on the main story quest, but it's also because this game is probably the most well thought out game I've played in a while from the series. Everything about this game just feels fun, be it sneaking around and trying to catch Pokemon, collecting items to craft for myself, or just simply trying to fill up my Pokédex. Not just by catching Pokemon and letting it be at that, but in genuinely engaging ways that aren't just battling with or against them. Actually, movement's another thing that I've been worried about, as most other games in this series were treated as revolutionary to actually be able to do certain features. But I was surprised when I got control of my characters and it felt less like I had to stiffly move around and tiptoe around my controller to get my character to do whatever it wanted, but just genuinely move in any direction that I wanted to and make my character do basically whatever it needed, and it felt just natural. It's not a direct complaint of the other games, but the grid-based models that NPCs and even yourself sometimes were restricted to were frustrating to all heck. And the thing about it is, nothing about that is particularly new in the world of gaming. But to actually be able to maneuver my character as though it was just any other game, as far back as the Xbox 360 days might I add, made me feel like finally Game Freak understands video games. The visuals are also pretty good, though nothing really to write home about. I can talk all day about how the world feels natural, the visual display effects look so pretty, or how the trees look like trees, but it wouldn't really add much to my enjoyment of the game, which is a plus considering how muddied down Sword and Shield felt as I was roaming around. I mean, that game looked like it had so much potential if things were just upgraded a little bit better. But alas, the graphics were just another sour taste in my mouth from a game that I wanted to enjoy more. The lack of voice acting throws me off again though, but not like it did in the previous game. At least there aren't entire stadiums full of people as a person simply talks silently in the middle. Somehow they managed to get away with this to the point where it doesn't seem completely unnatural. Another thing that is frustrating is the dialogue options. I get that they're trying to give you some sort of personality, and I believe that Dragon Quest does this too. Heck, maybe even other RPG series. But giving you the choice to pick between yes and yes also is a real annoyance. Why even have dialogue options at all if it doesn't even make a difference? It's a nitpick, but I'll never live it down. The only other thing that I could really talk about is the difficulty. It's not a hard game by any measure, and if it were, I wouldn't be complaining. But I've frequently had to gripe with the simplicity of the other games. I'm self-aware enough to know that Game Freak wants to make their games accessible and easy for newcomers to the RPG genre, so I won't harp on that too much. But Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were actually so easy that I frequently caught lower level Pokemon just to catch up. A decision that made the game tolerable, but at the very least frustrating for me as a veteran to the series. I feel like such a fucking nerd. Legends Arceus, however, seems to be the perfect middle ground. I never felt one task as too easy. I mean, kinda. I'm not sure if the trainer battles were meant to be easy considering the setting, but there weren't really any moments where I'd think, wow, I wonder if this would be fun if it were a little more challenging. Throughout the game, I've regularly gotten my tush handed to me, and this is just for the game itself, me trying to do things I shouldn't. Every step of the way has been enjoyable, whether I'm spending hours attempting to catch the same Pokemon over and over again, or roaming around the land finding secrets and trinkets. I've had a great time playing. I bought the game under the impression that it'll be the last game I ever play in this series due to how often it disappointed me. But after playing this, I've had my expectations flipped on its head, and I'm starting to think that things actually can change for the better in the series. But that's all I got. I'd have more to say, but I'm saving that for a much longer video that I have coming out soon. But with that, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Okay, bye.